Good morning, everybody. I hope you've all had a really good day. Good night's sleep, I should say, considering most of us are just waking up. All right, I have a message, a very specific message. First, I mentioned a name, Janice. This actually might be Janice. The name might be Janice and not Janice. Could be either one of those names. That is my quote unquote worst enemy outside of Sandy, of course, because Sandy hates me. Absolutely, with a passion, hates me. And I know that. I've always known that. I've always known that. The way she treated me my whole life, I know she hates me. She doesn't want me to have this inheritance, and she's done everything in her will to keep me from having this inheritance, including hiring people to unalive me. When all of their tactics didn't work, trying to smear my name and the videos and the fake text messages to themselves, trying to cause trouble, saying that I was stalking them. I was harassing them, and that gave them the right to fight back when they were sending these things to themselves, which the FBI knows. They know where these came from because every computer and every phone can be tracked. So they know that I didn't send those messages and that I wasn't the one that was causing any trouble. They know where the trouble is coming from. I have this, not today, but yesterday or the day before, I had the song Mary Had a Little Lamb stuck in my head. And then to follow that was leading the lamb to the slaughter, which was them saying that they were leading the lamb, which is me, to slaughter. There is a church that Debbie is the pastor. People are leaving her church, leaving her congregation. I can hear somebody calling out my name. I'm not sure who it is, but I can hear someone calling out my name. All right. So last night I had a dream. It was only a partial dream. The dream didn't finish because it kept getting interrupted by my brother Dale. All right, so this dream started out with me being with my uncle. I'm not even sure which uncle it was. It was just an uncle. And there was a lot going on. There was, I wouldn't say chaos, but there was just a lot moving, a lot going. Things were just going. So it was really hard to focus. I was focused, but everybody else was unfocused and doing other things in the dream. My uncle told me that he had something for me, something that had arrived, and that he wanted to give it to me. So I said, okay. He handed me this like manila envelope. And inside it, there was a letter. And this letter was from a woman. This letter went on to explain things that happened to me as a child. And I got through the first page of that letter, but there was no second page. Well, at this point, I'm in a vehicle now, and my uncle has turned into my dad, and my brother Dale and my brother Eddie are in the vehicle with us. My dad said to Dale said to me that Dale and Eddie were going to be doing something. Dale was going to be staying with him for like a week or so, and that we needed to go to the grocery store and get them some stuff. So we're driving in the vehicle, and I tell my dad that the second page to that letter was, there was no more. There was only the one page, but there was no more. And his response was, "Well, that figures." And I said, "Well, what did it say?" And he's like, "Well, we'll talk about this another time." And I'm like, I've been waiting my whole life to hear this. I need to hear this. What did it say? So quite reluctantly and quite hesitantly, he started telling me about this woman that my mother knew when I was a very young child. And this woman became very fixated on me, obsessed with me. And there were two other people um, in this dream with this woman. I'll get to that in a minute. But this woman was very fixated on me. And he told me that this woman would do very mean things to me and then conduct experiments on me to see my reactions to things. And he said that I would react appropriately to some things, and then other things I would not. And this, I guess, intrigued this woman even more. And I said to my dad, "When you say very mean things, were there sexual things?" And he said, "Amongst other things." But he wouldn't tell me exactly what that was. So at this point, we're at the grocery store, and my brother and Eddie go inside. My brother realized that there was a serious conversation that was happening between me and my dad, and he came out. There was like a foyer to this grocery store where there were chairs and stuff that you could sit in, and Dale came out and sat down in the chair. Well, at this point, Dale's hair was leopard spotted, like through the middle, leopard spotted. And then in the front, it was like a rainbow. And then in the very back, it was a rainbow. And I said something to my dad about my brother's hair. And he said, "I told you that he and Eddie were going to be spending time together." And suddenly I realized that my brother's bisexual, maybe even secretly gay. I don't think he even knows yet if he's gay or if he's straight. However, we couldn't finish the conversation because my brother wouldn't leave. He wouldn't poke his nose out of it. He kept poking his nose into it. So this letter that I had in this manila envelope, I'm holding it, and I'm trying to, read it to see if I can see anything more, something, if I missed something. And suddenly everything on this page disappeared. All of the ink disappeared, the writing disappeared, and this paper turned into like a clear plastic that you could see through it. And when you crumpled it up, you could actually hear like a plastic crumple, like a plastic bag almost. So all of the writing disappeared, everything on it disappeared. I know there's a lot more to this. I know there is a lot more to this. This woman and the two people that were with her, I believe there was a man and another woman, or maybe there were three women. I mean, it could have been three women or two women and a man, were Masons. My dad was having a very, very, very hard time telling me in any kind of detail. He kept skirting around things, and I would ask him specifically, was this woman a babysitter of mine? No, she was a friend of your mother's. So that was pretty much the end of the dream. We never got into a whole lot of detail. I got just a brief introduction to this letter that this person has left me. But I don't think that the letter that was left to me was by a woman in real life. I mean, that was in the spirit realm. But I think this person that left me this inheritance um, is a masculine. It's a male. Um, there's a will and documents and checks um, in my name that belong to me. This inheritance that belongs to me. And with these documents and this inheritance is an in-depth, detailed letter of what was done to me as a child. Very detailed letter as to what was done to me. 11:11 on the clock as I said that. Very detailed letter of what happened to me when I was a kid, starting at a very young age. This person that left me this inheritance knew that Sandy would do the things that she's doing. This person knew that my family would try to take this from me. This person knew that that these things were going to happen. This person knew it. He knew it. So he had a second copy made and hidden. The FBI found it. They are in possession of the second copy. And they know exactly what happened to me as a child. And they know exactly why my family is doing the things that they're doing to me. And they now have motive as to why. They didn't have a motive before until they got their hands on this documentation. Now they have motive as to why my family was and is and has done all of the things to me that they've done. Trying to call me crazy, trying to make me look crazy, trying to tell everybody I'm crazy, blacklisting me from jobs, trying to make me homeless, trying to make me just in complete and total destitution, not having, excuse my language, pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. They wanted me to have absolutely nothing so that I would fit the narrative that I was crazy and unable, and incapable of handling the funds that this person left for me. That was the whole intention behind all of this backbiting and all of these rumors that they spread and all of these things that they tried to do to make me look like I was unstable so that I wouldn't get this inheritance. They're still doing this. But it's out now. The FBI has this information. There is a person who is a non-family member that is in possession of this documentation and this letter that was left by the person who left me this inheritance. They left it with this non-family member for safekeeping because they didn't want it to be found if anything happened and their houses were raided or looked through. They didn't want it to be found, so they left it with somebody who is not a family member. This non-family member, whoever you are, the FBI has a copy. The FBI has a copy of it now. Whoever you are now implicated in all of this because you have a part to play. I believe that there is somebody who may be pregnant or trying to get pregnant, or my brother is trying to get somebody pregnant to keep that person around because that person is financially abundant. And he can't do it on his own because he doesn't have the gift. which is exactly what my family was doing to me. So now, whoever my brother's with, this person is being energy harvested like I was energy harvested for their money. I believe this woman is catching on and realizing that they're using her, Dale and my mother, Sandy. I don't even want to call her my mother. It's just out of habit. It's not because I want to. It's just a habit. I believe my daughter Samantha is pregnant. And I believe that she's in jail. When I mentioned the other day that I thought my mom and Dale were in jail, I believe they were being interrogated. I don't believe they were actually put in jail. They were being interrogated. That's pretty much all I have for right now, but I was told that I needed to put this information out there today with what I had. It was in my best interest to put this out there. So there it is. I am looking forward to this letter that this person wrote to me about the things that have happened to me in my childhood. I know a lot of what happened to me, but I also know that there's a lot that I don't know because they did a lot of things to mess with my memory. I'm a little torn because I know that whatever this letter says is not going to be easy for me to read. It's not going to be easy for me to digest. But I've got my heavenly angels, the archangels, are here to help me heal from this, just like I've healed from everything else so far. I will heal from this. I was talking to my friend last night, and I was telling him, that I want my life back. And I realized I never really had a life. Um, my life has been dictated and played with, manipulated my whole life, that I never ever had an opportunity to just have my life, to just be me, to just do me, to just live. I've never had that. I'm looking forward to living as my true, authentic self and not under the ruling and manipulation and garbage that these people have tried to put me in my entire life. I'm looking forward to having my life, to living my life, my way, the way it was supposed to be all along, but never has been. For 54 years, y'all, for 54 years of my life has been manipulated and dictated, screwed with. When this all finally comes out, people aren't going to believe the things that my so-called family, that my so-called mother has done. People are going to be in disbelief. They're going to have a hard time believing that somebody could do these kind of things to another person. I haven't spoke out about it much in my life, except for the past year, since November of last year, because nobody would have believed me. And whenever I said anything, nobody believed me. So I stopped talking about it because nobody believed me anyways. And all it did was make me look like a crazy person, which is exactly what Sandy wanted in the first place, was to make me look like a crazy person, hoping that I would talk about it so that people would think I was nuts, going around talking, craziness. My friend last night when we were talking. He brought up again that, my license plate came back saying that I was mentally unstable when he ran my license plate, and asked me why again. And I said, because my mother has been trying to set the narrative my whole life that I'm crazy, so that when all of this came out, it would be easier for her to take this inheritance away from me, because they've spent their whole entire existence um, working against me, trying to make me look like I'm a crazy person. And I brought up the situation, the scenario again of when I was a teenager, like 16 or 17, driving around in my Pinto, and had this truck that kept following me everywhere I went. It was like almost a whole year, maybe even a little longer, that I would drive, but it was always when I was by myself. Always when I was by myself is the only time that this truck would follow me. I'm sure they followed me everywhere all the time anyways, but this, they would only approach and they would only do the things that they did when I was by myself. They would pull up, like almost hit me to the back end of my Pinto. They would flash their lights. They'd turn their bright lights on so that I couldn't see who it was that was in the truck. They would come up on my tail and they'd back off, and come up on my tail and back off. I was terrified. I was so afraid. I was so afraid for myself, for my life, that I carried a knife, chains, a baseball bat in my car. Because if they caught me, I wasn't going to go down without a fight. They never did catch me, but I learned how to drive. Defensive driving. Oh man, I learned how to defensive drive like no other, because of that situation. Well, then that time that Debbie was in the car and ducked really low in the car because she was trying to put on a pair of pants because she was cold. She was pulling up the pair of pants and she was ducked really low in the seat. Well, these people thought that I was by myself. So they started doing what they normally do. And I told Debbie, oh my God, it's them. Oh my God, it's them. And she's like, who? And I said, the people who are following me, the people who have been following me all this time. I've told you about it. So I told her to put on her seatbelt and hang on. And I started doing my defensive driving, speeding around corners, going this way, going that way, zigging, zagging, everywhere I could think of, to try to lose these people. And I finally got enough ahead of them that I was able to pull into an apartment complex, park my car, turn off the lights, and told her, duck down, duck down. So we ducked down and they drove by, and we sat there for a little bit. And she said to me, oh my God, I thought you were lying. I thought you were lying. So Debbie, why would I lie about something like this? Why would I lie why would I lie? And she said, your mother has been going around telling everybody that you are hallucinating, that you're crazy, that you're losing your mind, that you're paranoid, that you're schizophrenic, that you're all of these things, setting the narrative so that if I ever talked about it, people would look at me like I was crazy. And they did. They did. I didn't mention it to very many people, but the people I did mention it to looked at me like I was off my rocker. And that's exactly what Sandy wanted. That's exactly the narrative that she was trying to set, was that I would look like I was crazy by speaking on it. Well, that night it was proven. Debbie Benham was my friend's name. That night it was proven that I wasn't crazy, that it was really happening. But quite unfortunately now, Debbie was one of the people that was helping my brother in the beginning of all of this. Spreading rumors, telling him my secrets from when I was young. Saying things to him, telling him stuff so that they could use things against me. They went to every person every person that I've ever known, any contact number that I may have had in a phone number, in a phone, they went to every single human being that I have ever been in touch with, associated with, or talked to, and asked this person if there was anything, that if I ever did anything that was wrong, anything that was bad. And I'm sure that they laid it on thick. I'm sure that they, made up stories to get these people to talk, because I can't imagine if somebody called you out of the blue and said, "Hey, you got any dirt on Linda?" that people would be like, "Oh yeah, I got dirt. I got dirt." Unless of course they hated me, which Riri in Leadville, Colorado, is one of the people that they've been talking to, trying to find out dirt on. But Riri didn't know me. She didn't know anything about me. All she knew was she wanted to kick my butt when I was a kid. She wanted to kick my butt. And I don't even know why. I think it had something to do with her little sister, which I didn't have anything to do with. It was somebody else. I was just trying to stick up for my friend. But yeah, so Mother Sandy has been setting this narrative for my whole life that I was off my rocker and crazy. And then she got a lot of people who had grudges against me or jealous of me or whatever their problem was with me to jump on the bandwagon so that she could further her narrative. All I got to say is shame on every single one of you. Shame on you. And y'all are going to get your karma. Every last one of you are going to get your karma. If you're not being seen in a courtroom for the words that you spoke against me, if you're not being a part of the courtroom proceedings, you can count on, absolute count on, you will, if you haven't already, start receiving your karma. You're going to receive karma. Because all of this was built on fallacy. All of this was built on lies. All of this was built on nothing more than a woman's hatred for her own quote unquote daughter, which I'm not even her daughter. When I said I was a foster kid, I was a stolen kid. I was stolen from the hospital. They faked me being a foster kid for money so that they could receive money from when I was a child, which I never received, of course, any of that money. Not only did I not receive it, I barely had my basic needs met as a child. Food, water, doctor's care. I barely had, I had no doctor care when I was a child, no dental care when I was a child. The only time I went to the doctor when there was absolutely, positively, without a doubt, no other option. When other people got involved, because had it been up to Sandy, she'd have just let me suffer. She didn't give two rats whether there was something wrong with me or not. She just didn't care. And when I had my tonsils taken out when I was a little girl, they dropped me off at the hospital and I never saw them again until they came back to get me. The little girl that was in the same room as me that had her tonsils taken out, her mom was there the whole time. And that woman saw me there alone. And she got me ice cream. And she was more caring than my own family. That woman comforted me. My mother never showed up until it was time for me to be discharged and taken home. That's when Sandy finally showed up at the hospital to get me after I had my tonsils taken out. Yeah, I was left there alone the entire time, from beginning to end. Sandy hates me. And she has set the narrative to the family, my brother and his family, his children, his whatever. Sandy has set the narrative with him and with his kids of who I am. But none of them ever took the opportunity to get to know me because they listened to what Sandy said. And then when Sandy got her claws in on Dale, they listened to what Dale said. None of them ever took a chance to get to know me. None of them ever even tried to get to know me. They just believed what they heard, even though every one of them knew that Sandy was knucking futs, and they'd be the first one to say it. Oh, don't worry about Grandma Sandy. She's just crazy. But everybody believed everything she said. So what does that make you? What kind of a person does that make you? If you know somebody's off their rocker and you know somebody's crazy, but you believe everything that that person says, what does that make you? You should all be ashamed of yourselves. And don't any of you, none of you, do not even think for 1 minute that if you get in contact with me, if you want to friend me on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, or you want to talk about this, don't even bother. You never gave me an opportunity. You never gave me a chance. You believed what you wanted to believe because that's what you wanted to believe. So don't for 1 minute, when this is all said and done, think that I'm just going to like, oh yeah, okay, y'all, come on back. Let me hug you. We're family again. No, it's not going to work like that. You move on with your life because I've moved on with mine, and I'm not welcoming any of you back into my life. You're all done in my life. I don't want anything to do with any of you. If you're so easy to believe what another person says without using your own mind, without using your own logic, without seeing with your own eyes, then I don't need you in my family because all you are is a sheep. You're a follower. You're somebody that doesn't think for yourself. And I'm sorry, but I don't have time in my life for people who can't think for themselves. I don't have time in my life anymore for this kind of garbage. And I don't have any time in my life anymore for trying to convince somebody that I am what I am. If you don't see that with your own two eyes, then be gone with you. If you don't see me for who I am, then be gone with you. This is so much more than an inheritance. This is so much more than monetary stuff. This is spiritual. This is spiritual warfare. This is about my reputation. This is about God. This is about evil versus good. And every single one of you that were put in my path were tested to see exactly where you stood. And 99.9% of you failed your spiritual test. You failed because you were a sheeple. You were a sheeple pulled by your nose to believe what somebody else said. You didn't stand off alone by yourself and question. You didn't come to me and ask me anything. You just assumed and believed what other people were saying. You have to ask yourself, why? Why was it so easy to believe somebody that, first of all, you knew was crazy? Why was it so easy to believe it? Because you wanted to. You wanted to believe it. You wanted to believe that everything that was being said about me was true. You wanted to believe it. Somewhere inside of you, you wanted it. You wanted it to be true. You had a problem with me of your own. And it made it really easy when somebody else spoke badly about me for you to feel and think badly about me because there was something inside of you that had a problem with me. The problem was never me. Y'all need to sit down and take a really good, hard look about what's going on inside of you that made it so easy for you to be swayed. And I'm not just talking to my family, I'm talking to all of my friends. Friends, I'll use that term very, very loosely. All of the people that came into my life that were so easily swayed by money, by words. Sit down and take a good long look at yourself and find out what made it so easy for you to turn your back on me, for you to take money to come against me, for you to, maybe you didn't even take anything. Maybe you just thought it was a great idea because you had a jealousy problem. Sit down and take a hard look at yourself and find out why. Why was it so easy for you to turn against me? Why was it so easy for you to do the things to me that you did? None of you knew what I had been through in my life. None of you even had an idea, an inkling of what I'd already been through in my life, but it was sure easy for you to jump on a bandwagon and come against me because of some crazy woman's words. Y'all have a lot of soul searching to do. You all have a lot of healing to do. I'm well into my healing. Well into my healing. I'm not done yet. I still have a lot. Are you kidding me? The things I've been through in my life, I'm not done healing. I'm still going. But I'm a hell of a lot farther along than any of you are. If somebody came to me and said something about another human being and wanted me to jump on a bandwagon of hate, I would never. I would go to that person and I would try to find out for myself what the heck is going on. Why is all of this happening? Ask some questions. Most of you didn't even know me to know me. And you were willing to jump on the bandwagon. You should be ashamed. When you sit down in front of Father God, when it's your time, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? How are you going to talk your way out of this? Because you can lie to yourself and you can lie to everybody else, but you cannot lie to God. You can't lie to God. I suggest a lot of people start repenting. Start repenting. Start doing your shadow work. Sit down with yourself and figure out why it was so easy to come against somebody you didn't even know. I think I'm done. I'm going to get down off my soapbox. I'm passionate about this because this is my life. This is my life that you people trying to ruin. My reputation that you people tried to ruin. My relationship with God that you people tried to ruin. God is the only thing I've ever had. Consistently. And music. And dancing. Which are the two things that God gave me to help me through this. God, music, and dance. Which dancing brings you closer to God because it opens up your kundalini. Mm-hmm. For those of you that didn't know that. And if you don't know what kundalini is, look it up. We'll talk about it again some other time. But right now, I'm done with this conversation. I'm going to go over to the church and I'm going to help them decorate for the VBS for this weekend, for tomorrow. And I am going to enjoy the rest of my day. I'm going to smile and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to love what I'm doing because I'm doing it with God in my heart. I hope you all find God in your heart. I do. All right, y'all. Love each other. Love yourselves. And you know I love you. I'll catch y'all later, okay? Have a great day.